This is the Brothers of Bhundoo podcast. No fluffy, just real men sharing real stories, all on the path home to self and the journey back to what really matters. Take a seat, relax, and enjoy.
We use it as a way to introduce our fellow members of the tribe. Welcome, Grahame.
Thank you.
Good to have you here.
Privileged to be here, thanks.
Yeah. Gman's a pretty pivotal member of the group and our honoured eldership. And honoured to have this type of eldership, Grahame, what you bring to the group, man. And he's been quite a pivotal, like you spearheaded our TP project, which has been phenomenal. So I think we've already shared how the TP project's kind of come along, how that started. But it was you were travelling down. You got your big green bus that you're travelling down in Victoria, and tell us how you come across old Murray.
Oh yeah, the teepee. Well, it started. As you said before, we got wet at a few of the gatherings, and I thought tent or some sort of a shelter would be great. And
Sick of getting brained on.
Yeah, I've always wanted a teepee since I was young, and went travelling down to Victoria and looked up this company called 1 Moon Teepees, and so I thought I'd just drop in and check him out and see what we could learn. And met Murray, he's a lovely guy, about my age, and just works on his own. And he's one of the last TP makers in Australia too. So I got talking to Murray for a while, and he actually had a second hand one there that had been donated back. So he said we could have that for the right price, so I jumpp on that and got back and told you guys, and it sort of went from there. But it's been a 12-month journey getting it repaired. And
he's a busy man, Murray.
He certainly is. Yeah.
He travels like installing them as well. You were saying?
He's actually just installed one up at Wambara,
up
there on a property as well. And he went down to Tassie, dropped one down there. So
yeah. That's his game.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy, and we were lucky enough to get that. And as I said, it took about 9 months to get the repairs done. I was starting to wonder if we were ever going to eventuate ourselves, myself. And then getting all the poles, it's been getting all the poles for it was great. Just all the fellas getting together and harvesting the poles from.
Shout out to Craig and Yana.
Craig and Yana's place.
Out at their property.
That was really great. So that was really bonding as well. And sort of stripping the poles back and the whole bit and doing the base. It's been a really communal sort of
learning process at the same time.
Totally, yeah. Yeah.
How much bark do we take off this? Are we done here? Remember, what do we use? What tools?
The back of a saw for 3 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
That'd be a great tool.
Yeah. So it's been great, and it's just so wonderful to see it go up, and it's quite emotional at the time. Really, it's been such a long process getting it there, and it's just so nice to see it go up, and we've finally got a space to sort of call our own. And I think every time we hold a gathering, it's got to give that much more energy to it, much power to it. It's
100%.
Good to feel that.
Yeah, you've still got to dress it up and hang the little totems and make it look pretty.
Yeah,
put a skirt on it.
Yeah, man. But that, we're going to lay the mats down hopefully this weekend, and light this fire soon.
Beautiful.
Get it happening. Have an open ceremony.
Yeah, no, I think it'll just evolve.
I'm thinking the winter solstice for the ceremony. That's a week after camp.
That's actually a great idea.
Yeah, if we can make that happen.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
We said we wouldn't ask you, Grahame, but we just had the Milton Folk Festival over the weekend. And
which was a huge success.
Fantastic.
Do you know the guy's name who...
Jacob.
Jacob?
Yeah, Jacob. We're definitely going to have a chat with Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob Woods is a main instigator up there. A lot of people behind the scenes too. It's wonderful.
It's the talk of town. I was in the gym this morning, and one of the women there were saying how good it was, and the massive turnout. It's just a huge success, and well done to that.
Yeah.
To Jacob for kind of once again spearheading that event. Like, I think it's going to be... It's gone down in history, and I think it's one to continue.
Oh, phenomenal.
Yeah, the weather was perfect, and just the community spirit, just the vibe there was incredible.
Yeah, well, let's explain for the listeners, because, this is already worldwide. Do you know that? People are listening in Canada.
Awesome.
Really?
South Africa.
Good
So
news.
it was a pretty much a local gathering of music.
Yeah, 3
in
days.
Milton, New South
3
Wales.
days. It was free. They had a couple of ticketed venues at Milton Theatre and a few other places ticketed, but the bulk of it was free. And I would say, at a guess, that 80% of the musicians would have been local, which just shows the amount of talent in the area, and just people of all walks of life were there. It was great to see families and young people and hips and everything in between. It was great. It was really good to see, and the music was fantastic, and just the vibe of the whole thing was just what we're about, the community. It just was really special.
Yeah. It was really beautiful to observe how it just brought everyone together from the community.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
Brought out those skills in people, that creativity.
Totally.
Yeah.
I was speaking to the guy at the Star Hotel, the barman there, about it. And I said it's so good not to see any police or security guys around. He said it was amazing. He said there was no trouble anywhere. So everyone's just, it just shows we don't need that sort of.
Yeah.
Well, a folk and jazz festival doesn't necessarily always bring like a wild tribe, but there was a bit of that in the street. Like it was it was a good evening each night, Friday, Saturday night, even Sunday night. But it didn't have any of that need for like an authority to be pushing people around and making sure that. And every single venue throughout the day had its own mob.
It did.
It had its own, that person, that kind of group, that style of music, and even a style of dance. I was kind of watching people just getting into, and the jazz at the Village Green, that was like an aura around that one. Hey,
it was, yeah, really varied too. I mean, you had jazz type music and some of the young kids into their sort of 60s psychedelic kind of stuff. It was really good to see too. To see that's getting maintained, not getting lost.
Yeah.
But, it was a good mix of music, and it was just a wonderful thing to be part of, really, for everybody.
Yeah, well, and you were brave enough to get up and play your bit.
Oh yeah, did a little bit in the background.
Well, you've been doing a little bit at Milton. You've been saying. Getting up, so it's a normal, at which pub?
Oh, at the Star Hotel on a Monday afternoon. We have
Monday?
a little open mic thing there, Yeah, I've been trying to brave that, but it's pretty difficult. Just like this, it's pretty hard to get in front of people, speak in front of people. But, that's really good. Once again, it's a good community thing. It's probably, the majority of people here will be older, because it's on from 4 o'clock till 6 o'clock on a Monday afternoon. But it just shows the amount of older musicians are in the area as well, and they're also supportive, and once again, just another part of what a wonderful community we're in. Just everyone get together like that every week. It's
What do you play?
I just a bit of guitar and sing a bit,
Any
sort of folky stuff. Yeah.
Do you have any favourite go-tos?
Oh, I've always been a bit of a Neil Young fan way back, but sort of folky bluesy type stuff. Yeah.
What were you playing over the weekend at the festival?
I shared that with another lady, Judy. We've been playing together a bit. And we do a mixture of sort of folk songs, I suppose. There's a American couple called Julian Welch and Dave Rawlins who do a few of their songs, and Towns Van Zandt and that sort of folky type stuff, yeah.
Another creative pursuit of Graham's. I've actually had the honour to house sit at Graham's place once upon a time, or dog sit, and just to note all the trinkets that Graham's created in that space. But I want to pinpoint the front yard at the moment. That thing is sensational. Just the vision from it being that typical.
Dump. Milton tip.
No, I mean just a plain front
Lawn, sloping lawn, basically.
Yeah, well, so that's the secret, Nick. You just have your front yard looking like a tip for about 2 years, and you don't have to do very much at all to make someone comment on to make it look better. So it has come up well. A surprising amount of people comment on it. Just got a lot of old railway sleepers and some rocks and bits and pieces, and
I love the way you describe it. We're going to need to get a visual on this.
Yeah, sort of put it together, but no, it's come together really well, and as I said, it's been great. We're right in town in Milton Township, sort of thing, in the village, and it's just nice to be out the front working and having neighbours walk past and have a chat. You know, it's really, once again, a communal sort of thing. I love that hanging over the fence type thing and having a chat about nothing. You know, it's
what first kind of got you into, like, the way that you did that is a lot different to the average bit of landscaping. Like, you've been a handy guy most of your life, yeah?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm a more visual person. I can see the finished project before I start. But that one they just evolved really. I sort of had an idea what we were doing, but just evolved and ended up,
Well, and
like it does.
You've got your meditation space that you built out the back.
Yeah, that's good.
That I'm well impressed with. You know, we meditate up there monthly, once a month. And then heaps of that was out of recycled material.
Yeah, that was just a pile of old rusty iron and timber laid in the backyard when we bought the house, and so kind of evolved into a lovely little studio shed. And looks like it's been there for 100 years, which sort of like that's the look I like, you know, so that rustic look. They're easy to build too, and you don't have to be too perfect. You do rustic stuff, you know, if it's a bit out of square or whatever, that's
fits right in.
That's the look, yeah.
You don't want it too square.
Yeah. I've got a sharp stick there as well. When people comment on things, if they see a fault, I just sort of poke them in the eye with it. How's it look now?
Did someone,
now who's at fault?
Did someone teach you this style of, like, craftsmanship, or is it just something that you like?
My dad was a builder, and I've always been around the building trade, but I've always liked the rustic and old school stuff, you know, like I just like the imperfections kind of thing. I don't like anything too prissy or too perfect, you know, sort of. I've always been just that natural look. I've always been into nature, and even from a photography point of view, I've always sort of liked sort of seeing the beauty in nature, and just looking at a rock or a leaf or a bit of bark or whatever. It's got so much to see really. Yeah.
So you're like, when you're looking at, say, like that piece of tin that's for the back shed, you've already got the vision of where things are going to hold up, like that glass pane and this.
Yeah, I think they kind of, like a lot of people say that things more or less talk to you. You talk to sculptors and that, they sort of say, well, the rocks almost tell me where they want to go, kind of thing, and that type of thing. So I think you get a piece and it just sort of fits in the jigsaw sort of thing. I've always had a knack for being able to, if you're going to pack a lot of stuff in the car, I could always pack a shitload of stuff in the car just because I knew how it would fit. So that's just something I've always come natural to me.
Do you think that differs a lot from, say, like a modern square brick, real straight?
Oh yeah, it does. I mean, to me, it's got soul. I mean, I look at the architectural side of. I mean, I love minimalist and I love really clean lines, that sort of thing, from the architectural perspective. But to live in it, it doesn't have any soul to me. I wouldn't want to spend much time in a space like that. I could appreciate the lines and design of it, but as far as a place I want to hang out, I'd rather go hang in the bush, than nice square white box sort of thing.
Yeah. Was it that was your trade? You were in the building game?
Oh yeah, it was. I did a lot of roof work and that sort of thing. And, I did a lot of other things. I did a lot of things over the years, but a lot of things I won't talk about here.
Come on.
Give
us some juice.
When I lived up in Byron for a while back in the 80s, I had a screen printing business up there and used to do a lot of screen printing, and my wife Louise used to make a lot of clothing and stuff, so that was a really enjoyable time to sort of find a job that you actually enjoy doing.
So when was this? What era?
From the 80s.
Yeah.
Through the 80s, yeah. But that's getting away from the story a bit. But yeah, it's just
That's all right.
it was just like I said, it was nice to have a job where you're creative and enjoyed what you're doing, rather than having a hard slog job that you didn't like every day. I mean, I didn't mind roofing, but you can only get off the roof so many times, look at it and think that looks good, and sort of after all they're all the same, So it's good to have a job, where it's creative.
Yeah, I think what I witness when people have that like ability to pull things like from the abstract is like it is a creative process, rather than like, I've got to go just build that thing that's in like wood, hammer, nail, house is up, done, move on, dust my hands, move on to the next one. It's,
right.
Like it's actually, the process is enjoyable,
That's true.
Then obviously the finished project as well.
Yeah.
But there's no. It seems to be that there's like less rush to get it done because you're not. Like you're actually enjoying that process.
Yeah, that's how the front yard's been. It's been a long process. It's probably been a 12 months sort of project, and it's been great because I hadn't felt the need to rush with it. And luckily, Louise is not. She's in the same boat. Everything gets done when it gets done. So there's, I've just come to a stage in life, I think, where it's not that important. Like you said, the journey is probably more important than the final product, and I think it's just good to sort of not have to have it finished in a certain time frame, because really, when that's finished, I'll just go on another project sort of thing. So it's really, it never ends. It's always something to do, which is good.
Speaking of Louise, the wise woman she is.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that leads us back to my health journey, which we were discussing earlier on. I had a cancer diagnosis about 2.5 years ago, and bladder cancer, and the medical diagnosis, base you call it, was chemo and taking out a lot of parts of my body and giving me a bag to pee, and I wasn't very interested in going down that road. So we went down the natural healing route, and Louise has just been an amazing researcher, and she's basically led the way, and I've just been the one going on screaming and kicking behind kind of thing, we've actually had a good result. And
so what were you?
Clear.
What kind of things were you doing? Like, tell us a bit more about.
Before we go into that, can I ask what cancer it was?
Yeah, I had a bladder cancer stage. Stage
Just
2.
listen, Nick.
Stage 2 bladder cancer, but it was strange because I never ever thought that this was going to take me out. A lot of people hear the word cancer and they just think of death straight away, and I just never ever had that. That never entered my mind, and so I was always quite positive that the end result would be what it is. I've had an all clear on everything, and but yeah, it was a long, hard journey, especially for Louise. Like I said, she was totally dedicated, and it was from everything from a spiritual, mental, exercise, healthy lifestyle, diet. What
the diet look like? It's pretty restricted.
It was pretty restricted. Yeah, I mean, it was basically a vegan diet, and that's just what we chose. I mean, I didn't have any meat, but that's not to say that that's what everyone should do. But we chose not to have any meat in my diet, mainly vegan. A lot of juicing.
Tell us about the juice. You always had the juice.
Oh, the juicing was it's a major thing. It's mainly carrot, beetroot, and celery and kale, ginger, turmeric, and so just to make that up weekly and drink about a litre of that a day. And, plus a lot of smoothies, lots of different things. I mean, I was on probably 3 or 4 different protocols. So in the end, I don't know at what stage I beat it, or whatever, or got a clear diagnosis, but it was a mixture of different things. So I couldn't really say what one thing was the means to go to
anything else that you were taking?
Yeah, well, I was doing fenbenzidol, which a lot of people who know about cancer would have heard of fenben, and there's also almond kernels, which I've had a lot of been eating handfuls of almond kernels, like ground almond kernels. Oh, sorry, apricot kernels, just lots of different things really. But I really felt that the mind was the main thing. Just getting healthy, staying healthy again, no drinking, no smoking, just getting a clear mind was really important. Meditation, I think that was a really big part of it, huge part of it. And but like I say, just a big shout out to Louise, because without her I wouldn't have had the tenacity to do what I've done. And I wasn't going to go the medical route, but I never would have done what I've done from a health perspective, and it's been great because I would look at it a bit of a blessing. I've changed my whole lifestyle, and my whole way of thinking, and my whole spiritual attitude towards things has changed, hugely in the last 2.5 years, and so in some ways I count it as a bit of a blessing.
Can you give an example of how it's changed, like how it was beforehand and then how it is now?
I think I just well, for a start, every day is a day, and every hour is an hour. And I'm really trying. I live so much more in the moment now than I ever did before. I've been retired for quite a while. Even when I had a business, I was pretty much retired the way the business ran, and so it wasn't really because I've got more time on my hands now. It's just I think it's been because of this whole different perspective on life, and it's just a matter of just appreciating everything. I think I just went down when I got this diagnosis. We walked down Narrawali Beach, and just look at the headland and walking through the bush and look at the trees, and everything just seemed different. Just the trees seemed alive. The headland was just a piece of artwork. And I just sort of just made me appreciate everything so much more. And so that's been the main thing. It's just enjoying every day so much more than I ever used to, and not drinking. I was drinking too much, and I realised I don't need to drink, and that was just an escape, I think, and I'm just a really happy man. So that's good.
I remember having that yarn with you in the backyard. Just how much peace you'd made with your choice.
Yeah.
And like that was quite impactful to me to hear. He's like, well, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I'm gonna do. You're gonna do your best to make it work. And I think that any time I've heard someone make sincere amount of peace of that, it's like there is a world shift. And I think that's like a really interesting let's say like paradigm that happens when people come to this men's group too. Like the whole world is shifting from perspective. Like something's happening within us that makes the outer so much more like, like the apple tastes better or something. Like just that relationship with my friends doing a podcast now starts to become a bit more whole, and there's no rush to it, I guess, is my take.
Enjoy the journey.
Just listening to you at that moment of that's all I got from you, that you'd made peace with your decision.
I mean, everyone's got their own journey for sure, and I'd never say to anyone this is the way to do it. It's why I've done it, and it's been successful for me. But it's been successful in so many more ways than no longer having cancer, being diagnosed with cancer. It's just been it's been successful in so many other ways. So
would you say your life has improved more after the cancer than before?
Oh, greatly, yeah. It's as strange as that sounds to some people. It's as I said, to me, it's been a blessing in disguise. I sort of my life's changed, but I mean, I was on a big change. I mean, since the whole COVID debacle and that type of thing, and the reason I first became involved in the men's circle, the men's group, was through meeting Dean, and we're in a group called Better Together, a local group, and I remember when we went up, did the marches in Canberra for the anti-lockdown type march, that type of thing. Lawyers and I were driving back, and we thought, well, what do we achieve up there? I mean, we now have a huge group of like-minded people, which is wonderful. But as far as what we achieved up there to change things, we didn't feel like we'd made a huge change. And so coming back, we said what we've got to do is get our own community and work in our own backyard and start small. And if everyone who was at those marches, I mean, how many was there? I'm not sure. On the big day, there's talk of over 1 million, but even if it was 500,000 people, they all went home and did something in their own community, their own backyard. That would make such a huge impact and change to what we could do. And so that's what we chose to do. And by getting the Better Together group, it was a really positive way to sort of do something locally, and meeting Dean and telling me about the men's group, inviting me along to the men's group, is how I first came along. And,
yeah. And my first pretty much experience of you, Grahame, was seeing this fella at the front of Woolies with like a placard board, just standing your ground, not preaching to anyone. And I mean, what did the board say?
Oh, tell us about that.
Yeah, the poster.
That was when people were getting staff in Woolworths were getting
thickened the mandates, and
they had the mandates.
People losing their jobs.
Yeah, and people who worked in Woolies were losing their jobs because they wouldn't get the jab. And whether you're pro-jab or any jab, it's not about that. It's the fact that these people were hard-working, loyal staff working for Woolworths. Then they were being sacked because they wouldn't get the vaccination, but they could go in there and shop. It made no sense. You can come in here and spend your money in our shop, but you can't come here and work. So that made absolutely no sense to me. So that's basically what the signs were saying. Okay. The manager came out and had to talk to me about it, and he said, I see what you're saying. And I said, well, you've had to sack staff here. And I said, how can you do that? He said, well, it's just my job. I've had to do that. And it was just wrong on so many levels.
Yeah, he came out and said, what's your aim here, or something?
Yeah. He asked me, what's your purpose, or whatever. I said, well, I don't really have an aim or a purpose. I said, I just think it's wrong. I said, it's discrimination, and I'm against discrimination, whether it be colour, race, religion, or whatever. And these people are being discriminated because they won't accept won't go into that, but
What was his response?
He was fine. He said, okay, you're fine. He just went back in and left me with it. Yeah. And it was surprising the amount of people walked past it, sort of just looked at it, and as soon as they saw a sign, it was like, it's where the fear comes in. It was like they hadn't even read the sign. They just saw some guy sitting there with a sign, and they looked away straight away. It's like the fear of, what's this guy selling, or what's he doing, or whatever. It was like a fear. And then the few people that did come up and talk to me about it were more open. And even those who didn't see my point of view, at least they come up and talk to me about it. But the majority of them just sort of didn't want to see it. Just wanted to put their blinkers on and go and get their goodies and go home again, sort of
truth.
thing. Yeah,
it was so powerful. I was just looking at it and just going, the fact that you weren't standing there and preaching and enforcing your beliefs onto others, but just having your say and standing your ground in your own time. I thought, I like this guy. This guy's powerful.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, well, I sort of just had the need to do it, so I just went and done it. And it was good to actually be on your own. Sort of feel like you're doing something that that you stood for.
Well, I think it's super powerful that, especially in this modern climate where everything's written online, and you can say those things on, let's say, like Facebook and social media, and you can have a conversation and a debate and it goes back and forth, but that doesn't really get me all fired up. Like, I prefer to see that stuff done in person, because conflict is there to be resolved. And if we don't actually have those undercurrents actually come to the surface in person and be able to actually converse about them, then what are we doing?
Yeah,
we've got no chance at peace if we can't actually converse about those things. So if you can politely, that is about as polite as it's going to be, bring up something that is floating under the surface when you're walking into Woolworths and people are being kicked out for you're making their own personal decisions, then I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome to just bring up those conversations, just allowing some random space, and out the front of a shopping centre couldn't be any more publicly though, I'd say. Yeah, congratulations.
We also did the Forest of the Fallen too, which was a really powerful.
And you spearheaded that one too, right?
Oh, well, we were all part of it, but just we had that down Ulladulla Harbour and set up all the photographs of all the people who had been vaccinated, and that was really powerful too. And once again, it's silent kind of protest, basically. Just put the signs up there with their own little blurb on what had happened to them. And
so each one, and you're right, we all got together and we were laminating and stringing them together. So there's a bit of work involved, and absolutely heartbreaking, because you're seeing all these individual stories, how this jab had affected people. And the fact that none of this was getting broadcast out there on the news.
Yeah.
So, that was what the process was, Forest of the Fallen, it's in the name. but absolutely heartbreaking. And but also, once again, like you were saying, like a powerful way. Because similar thing, right? People would walk past and then they don't want to hear above it. It's almost like it's too much truth. But then you had those that would be like, oh, what's this? And you know, like light bulb moments.
That's right, yeah. And I'm not trying to make an anti-jab sort of conversation, but really just those things were really important to me. And
I think the thing, we're not anti-jab, it was the dead against the mandates and the coercion.
That's right.
And the censorship was a big one too, the fact how much censorship was going down.
Yeah, but just the fact you can sort of go out there, like you were saying, Nick, is do it silently, basically. Just put your sign out there, what you've got to say, and be prepared to stand there next to it.
It's healthy.
You don't need to say anything much, just, there's what I've got to say. I'm not here to debate or argue with you. If you want to discuss it, fine, but that's how I sort of feel about it.
Well, I'm all for taboo topics to be brought up in public. Like I've had a kid talk to me about suicide in the surf, and then there's other blokes around and women in the ocean that were like paddling away from the conversation, and some people like trying to like overhear it, but then thought like where else is this conversation going to be had? Like maybe on Lifeline or whatever, but this is the place where like the ocean is essentially like a place where people could go to release whatever was going on in their day.
Sure.
But for him to talk about something like that, I was like, okay, let's just go into it. And then I think the more that we do that, then less of it's just taboo, it's easier going. Then you have this culture that isn't struck down by depression, anxiety, and all the other illnesses that are trapped in having to, I would say a large part of the men's group is the taboo stuff that isn't allowed to, or doesn't feel like it's allowed to be said, just around a dinner table for fear of whatever, you know. Just for a quick segue, like back to when we come back to talking about fear. When I heard you talk about the peace that you had with let's just call it death for what it is. I think that's essentially where all fear stems from. Like I don't have if I don't do this thing, I may become ill. I may go towards death, go closer towards death.
Number one fear.
Yeah. And if you can relinquish that fear, which you did, then it seems to be this unraveling of a completely different world that exists. And I feel like all of these conversations that are based around health, based around mandating something, are based around the exact same conversation that is the most taboo. To go on a full circle of that tangent.
Yeah, right.
You know, the most taboo thing to talk about is death.
Yeah.
And to look at square on like that, and to be able to have that conversation with yourself, you know, like, and obviously with your family and friends and stuff like that, but there's no one else that you're going to have it with when you're making that decision. And I think that's what I was probably the most inspired by.
Yeah. Well, it's like I say, it's different for everybody. I don't know where that came from, but I just knew that that wasn't taking me out. And the other thing was, you know, I'm 71 years old, and I said to my daughter, I said, look, I've had a great life. I said, this isn't going to take me. I said, but if it does, I said, I'm fine with it. You know, I said, I've had a great life, but don't worry because it's not. I said, but what I've realised too is that how people tend to, when they get a life-threatening diagnosis, you go, oh wow, look at everything. But why does it take that for us to realise how wonderful everything is? You know, like anyone can get. I said to my daughter, I can get killed in a car accident on the way to the doctors to get the diagnosis. You know, so I mean, it happens every day of the week when we wake up. There's a possibility of death. You know, we're living creatures every day.
And we fool ourselves otherwise.
Exactly, yeah.
We don't
and so why do we need to have this? Why is it only when we get a life-threatening diagnosis that we start to appreciate how wonderful life is and be grateful for every single day?
There's an awesome quote that I remember. I can't remember the exact tribe, but their greeting when they greet one another is basically, today's a good day to die.
Exactly, yeah.
And you know, what does that mean? It's like nothing's left unsaid. We've processed all our grievances, and what a beautiful place to live.
Yeah, for sure.
From that place, you know. Because it's not until you really get okay with death that you truly start living, in my mind.
Exactly.
You know, like I went through a big process in 2019, plant medicine. That really, like it just makes the greens green and the skies blue, and you know, it's like you just create a new lens.
It totally does, yeah.
You know?
And the more you see
What a
it,
gift this life is, you know, people are looking for meaning. It's like, this is a gift.
exactly, yeah.
Let's live it.
And the more you see it, the more it just keeps happening. You know? Another thing's been really blowing me away the last probably quite a few years is Mother Nature just looks after me every time I'm doing something. I put my tools away and it starts raining. I put them out and it stops raining. It's just like, honestly, but you've got to be grateful. You just always remember to say thank you, because it's really easy to bitch about the weather, but how often are we grateful and thankful for the weather, you know, or whatever in our life, you know. So it's so easy to just take things for granted. And I keep saying to the words, look, it happened again. You know, I'll go for a walk. I've got to go up the street to get something. The rain stops. I come back in, shut the door. It starts raining. It's like this happens over and over and over again, and especially with rain. Isn't
it a favourite pastime, bitching about the weather?
Yeah. It's like
that's what everyone's. Yeah.
It's a favourite Billy Connolly quote there. Billy used to say about the weather. He says, people talk about the weather. It's bad weather, it's good weather, it's this weather. It's just fucking weather, he says. I thought, exactly, Billy, you know, whether it's raining or thunderstorms or whatever, that's what weather is, you know.
I think if you're Scottish, though, that's like, that's a different.
Yeah. Where's the sun?
Exactly. Yeah. But we sort of
so much gratitude for the tiniest bit of sunlight.
Yeah, but you know, weather is not just good days. Weather is every day. Huh?
Yeah.
And every type of weather is weather. You know, we seem to think weather's only good if it's sunny, and you know.
And then you know, if it rains, we're bitching about the rain. But God, were we praying for it during the bushfire?
That's right. Yeah.
Bushfires down this way, you know, just for that, just a bit of rain.
Yeah.
You know, living through a massive drought, and how quickly it can change. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
That mentality. But then we fall back into old.
Oh, we do.
I guess when we get a week of rain, which I think is forecast, and I was probably bitching about it this morning.
Yeah, but just being grateful for everything, and sort of, as you say, just seeing things, like you said, the skies are bluer and the grass is greener, and you know, that's what I love about the men's circle. It's just, you know, when we have our sits there, it's so powerful listening to everyone's, you know, what everyone's got to say, the highs and the lows. It's really, really powerful stuff. And I've been pretty lucky my whole life, so I kind of you know, I just feel privileged to be amongst all the group and being able to do what I can in the community, that sort of thing. And you know, this men's circle has been fantastic. You know, I just feel so good, very great to be part of it. You know, and just the potential of what we can do. When I see what happened on the weekend with the music festival, and see how that brought the community together, and see what we can do. You know, we can do maybe not to that scale, but who knows? But we have the potential to do
we did it 3 times that.
Yeah, exactly. We have the potential to do so much, you know, and it's just the effort and the drive to do it, you know, and the want, the need to do it. There's a need there, obviously, but just the desire to do it, bring everyone together.
Is there anything in particular that you foresee wanting to create, or like that you envision?
As far as the men's circle goes, I mean, I think just wherever it goes, I think it'll just, you know, to a big degree, it'll go whichever direction it sort of needs to go, I think. But I think the camps we have are great, you know, bring all the guys together, and I'd like to see get more involved with youth down the track. You know, we sort of bring whether trouble young people or just young family members or whatever, sort of just to show them other things, you know, take them out in nature. And we've got so many people in the group with skills, bush skills and craft skills, that sort of thing, and musical skills, everything. You know, to share all that with the youth is you know, be a great thing to do. But also just be able to support community. You know, if enough of us get together and it's a community project, we need to do something, we can all get in and just help out, chip in. You know, like if do something, there's enough, you know, a heap of young men, strong men together, we can do a lot of work around the town if we need to. If someone needs a hand with something, be able to do that sort of stuff. You know, be more than talk, just get out and walk it sort of thing, you know. I think that's where we're all headed. But also just, I think, there's a lot of trouble, people out there with a lot of troubles, and I think be able to feel like they've got some, a shoulder to lean on sort of thing. Not that we can cure problems, but just having a shoulder there to lean on is, pretty big deal, I think, for people that need it. Just to know they've got someone got their back. You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we bring that to the party.
And collectively, like with 40 lads all around, the amount of different things that they've been through, everyone brings their own spark of wisdom to the circle, their
own strengths,
their own, their own
to give.
Yeah,
I think
their own challenges, things they've overcome in their life that they're able to, share the skills with other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you don't realise we've all got something to offer. A lot of us don't. When you can do something, you don't think much of it until the next guy comes along and thinks, "Oh, that's good. How'd you do that?" And just do it like that. And so we've all got those things to.
That's
hidden sort of. To us, it's no big deal. But to each of us individually, we've all got something to offer.
And I watched that with you as like spearheading the TP project, but allowing people to step into their roles and solve those problems themselves. That was just beautiful to witness, how organic it was, that people could find their place of what to do to keep on pushing this thing along, because it starts to get momentum, and then once there's so much energy behind it, it's just going to go.
It becomes infectious, doesn't it? Everyone wants a bit of it.
That's it.
When something good's happening, everyone wants to be part of it, and so it's good. It happens in everything, I think. It's sort of just that old saying. I think sort of just some old saying where you basically make it and people will come, whatever it is. I'm not sure what the saying is.
Build it, they'll come.
Build it, and they'll come. Yeah, so it's a bit like that, I think. And once you've got it there, people just want to join in, and I think that's what the men's circle's like. Once you go to a couple of gatherings at the men's circle, it becomes infectious. You're like, I can't wait till the next one.
That's right, and you're like, oh, there's this part of me that, maybe I didn't know there was a space to explore it, or a space for it to fit into the community, or to fit into wherever it is that we're living.
It's such a wonderful community. I mean, I've lived in a lot of different places. Louise and I we've been together about 40 years, and I think we've lived in about 30 different places in that 40 years, and we ain't going nowhere. This is it. We've found our home. It's just really great. I was born in Bateman's Bay, and I grew up in Wollongong, but spent a lot of time surfing down this way. But I feel like I'm home. This is the first place I really felt. This is it. Yeah. And,
so you're not going to go up to Byron and start printing shirts again?
No, I don't think so.
But you actually, one thing that Grahame offers, and it's probably one of my favourite things above all his other notions of wisdom, is the painted rocks.
Oh yeah, yes. Oh yeah.
At the at the end of the fire at the men's gatherings.
Yes.
Grahame will walk around the group with a bag full of
a beanie.
Sorry, a knitted beanie.
Hand knitted.
His favourite one.
Yeah.
Passed down for generations.
A generational knitted beanie. With rocks that he's hand painted. Do you have a significance to those?
No, just something I started doing. A friend was doing something. I thought it looks like a good idea, and I just found it quite meditative of an afternoon, and sort of sit down when I was still drinking. I'd sit down with a beer after doing a bit of work in the yard, and draw on a few rocks. And
oh, you made them for you? I thought you were doing them for us.
I must have done. I was working the other day. I must have done close on 1,000 of those rocks now. I reckon
he has. Yeah. So to finish that off, at the end of our wrap up of the gathering, that gets handed around like a lucky dip, and you get your special rock for that time. And it's happened every single gathering.
Yeah.
Even the one that you haven't actually attended, you've had to take off, but you've left the needed beanie. So what has happened? We've collected these beautiful rocks, and then you go to other people's houses and you're seeing Graham's rocks everywhere, and it might be in the garden or in the bowl or whatever on the.
I just pulled one out of the car today and put it out the front of our house by a little palm. It's so hilarious.
Yeah, it's good. No, I appreciate seeing them. I go around people's places sometimes and see them on the windowsill or something. I think that's great.
Yeah, I've got a bunch on the dash.
Yeah. I mean, people say, "Oh, so what's it mean?" I said, "Well, I don't know. When I do them, they just whatever design comes. But it's what it means to people who have them. Really, it's. I mean, everyone looks at that rock, and if it's them with just a rock with some dots on it, that's fine. But if it's them, it's got a meaning. That's even better. So.
Well, I've started to when we leave the camp, I've started to kind of like I'll just drive off and go park down at the beach or wherever, and allow the day, the half day, to kind of like unravel, and it'll usually tell me some form of significance, and I can see that when I look at each rock.
Yeah, right.
So whether it's like surrender or forgiveness or something like that. It's not like the theme of the whole group. Sometimes there is a theme from that seems to pop up, like just as a model from.
That's uncanny. Though.
Like it's almost just easier for everyone to kind of like feed into this weave of a theme. But each time now I've been able to kind of like just put a single word of adjective, if you want to call it, on that kind of session, and that's what it is for me. I found it quite cool that each one can significantly
signify,
like really, like when I see it, and if I'm like processing something else in my life, or I've just had a chat with someone like in the car park, and I look back, and then that thing just sticks out at me like even more clear. It's
almost like a song takes you back somewhere. Takes you back to a time or a place or whatever. That's it. It's good.
Well, thank you for those rocks.
You're welcome.
They're pretty special.
There's plenty more there.
It's pretty special. And while we're here, we should introduce Otis. This is the first time Otis has been on the podcast, and he's in charge of the cameras that we're going to be going on YouTube now.
All right, we got the cameras.
See everyone?
Don't headbutt. So Otis is in charge of all the films. You're a magician on the social media side of things, and so he's pretty good.
Yeah, we do.
He's
right.
Pretty good.
G'day everyone, welcome to the podcast.
We'll get another potty going.
We'll have special guest Otis on there.
Very good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's been good. Is there any other?
Well, I want to jump back a little bit, because I was chatting with Grahame the other day, and this isn't the first time that you've faced death, right? There's been some other times in your life where some things happened.
Oh, what, roof work and that sort of?
Yeah.
So
you want to go into it? Come on.
In which way?
Yeah, well, I mean, from what you've gained from this facing cancer and beating it, I'm just thinking, like, did you always have these skills to overcome it, or has it been building up your whole life, or
I'm not sure.
Where was it that you've been able to draw upon something that not everyone is able to draw upon, and you were able to help yourself a whole lot? So
I'm not sure. I've always been fairly lucky for whatever that word means. I'm not sure. I mean, someone once said to me, the harder I work, the luckier I get, kind of thing. So I think you bring your own luck to a big degree. I'm not sure whether luck's just something that's floating around just in the air and you grab hold of it sometimes, or whether you create it. I'm not sure where it comes from, but I've always seemed to have a pretty cruisy life. I did what I want when I was young, and travelled a lot and did a lot of things I shouldn't have done. Had a great time, and when it came time to when I had children and time to knuckle down and work hard, I did that, and I worked really hard, and we were successful at that, and sort of financially, that's the main reason we did it, I suppose. we were successful. And but now, in hindsight, I've had a lot of younger guys ask me over the years, like, how come you had a couple of businesses and they went so well? I thought, well, I didn't just wake up and they were sitting in my lap. I worked hard and put a lot of effort in, but I also there was some degree of luck that made me successful. But I also say that the most important thing was to remember that work is secondary to your family and everything else. So don't ever let it rule your life, because I got so caught up in my business at times. The words would just say, look, we're going on holidays, we're going wherever overseas or whatever. And I said, I can't go because I've got this job and that job. She said, we're going. And so I'd say, okay, I'd go. And I'd go with her and come back refreshed, ready to go again. No worse off financially. Had a holiday, had memories. And and that's just one thing that anyone, especially in your own business, should remember, is just don't get so caught up in it you don't have time to enjoy the ride. Otherwise, it's just, you're working for nothing otherwise, So it's really important that you...
And I bet you went away and the business was fine and
it
did its thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So these stories that we carry, like, we've got to be there, we've got to be on constantly.
You do. You get so caught up in your own business that people say, you don't understand, but I've got to do that. But when you go and you come back, nothing's changed, and you accept you've had a great time, you're refreshed, you've got memories to share with your family, lifelong memories. You're not going to remember whether you fix that lady's house this week instead of next month. Not going to make any difference. Yeah, she might, but she's probably forgotten about it now too. But they say about things is you sort of you think about something's really troubling. You think, well, what will I think about that in another year's time or another 5 years' time? Will it really make a big difference in my life? And 90% of the time, no, it makes no difference at all. So, it's not worth stressing the small stuff too much, which is pretty cliche stuff. But, cliches are cliches for a reason, aren't they?
Yeah. 100%. Like just listening to that.
I love a good cliche, by the way. I don't mind it. I keep them going.
Give us an example. So, with saying that, it's so true. Like you can get so wrapped up and like stressed out with a work scenario. But just listening to you say that, I mean, it has happened to me in the past, but I couldn't even think of one thing from like last month, let alone last year.
Exactly.
That I was so stressed about. In the moment it seems like a big deal, but it really isn't.
Yeah.
So, what's the cliche one on stress? 5 minutes, 5 days, 5 years?
Not sure.
If it matters in 5 minutes, 5 days, or 5 years? Someone else remember that one?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. but it's like I say, most
5 seconds.
Most of it doesn't really matter. Eh?
How long ago did you hear it? 5 minutes?
There you go.
Something like that, Thanks, Gman.
Yeah, this has been unreal.
No, thanks, guys. Appreciate
your bloody
that.
inspiration, how to live your life and
you
to the
guys
fullest. And I totally get that you see life in a different lens. You appreciate the small things, and you're always down there for that early morning swim or get that ocean swim in, and how much you appreciate it. And just your message on the group the other day. How good's life? Basically, it was just.
It was.
It's just like full of love.
Yeah, I had to share that. I thought, geez, I feel so damn good today. Like, why? Just do. No special reason. So I thought, I might share that. Yeah.
That's good. I needed to hear it that day. So.
Yeah, totally.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone for sort of having me on here for a start. Yeah.
And thanks for sharing.
Thanks for sharing, you man.
We'll get the skeletons out of the closet next time.
Yeah, we'll dig it a little deeper next time. This is only surface layer, mate.
Just easing you into it.
Do you have any wrap up stories that you'd like to tell? Something that's ever been really significantly just might blow us off.
First thing that comes to mind.
Go on. I want to know about 21-year-old Grahame.
Yeah, that's where the teepee come into it.
Anyway, why does he want to have you so much?
The teepee and a canoe, that was me. I was out of here.
Okay. So basically, everyone that's listening will have to come along to the teepee to hear those stories. Or camp.
Yeah, camp's coming up, 13th of June. New website will be up shortly, and
So
this is actually, and can we just comment? So Jason Norris has offered this studio space So hopefully, which I think already the sounds much more. There's less echo to it, sounding good.
Yeah,
If I do say so myself.
Yeah, I just want to compliment you guys on putting this together. It's wonderful. You know? I was listening to a few podcasts the last few weeks, and what you're doing is great. You know? So I said I'm so grateful to be included in it. But I think it's fantastic what you're doing.
Yeah.
And once again, Otis, with all your effort and Nick's, what you're all putting together, it's really professional and well done.
I think it's cool just getting every man's point of view, what they get from it, and it's also good. I was kind of reflecting on the other day. It's good to hear other fellas' stories because we only meet up once a month and we got the camps, but you can learn more about each fella in the group. I think it's another good aspect. So thanks, G-Dan.
Thanks, guys.
Much love.
Yeah, much appreciated.
Yeah.